This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome to the second segment of Principles to Follow. So, before we get to the next point, I have to provide a small clarification. Some of the people had come up with a query saying that this point, first define the problem, then the solution, and this one, improve the process before adding technology, sounds almost similar. What's the difference? So, to make it clear, we talk about a particular project, first the problem statement has to be defined, then the solution for it has to be finalized, and after the solution has been finalized, then you talk about the technology which should be used for implementing this solution. Okay, so the sequence is first the problem, then the solution, and then the technology. Okay, so do not jump into solution before knowing the problem statement, and do not jump into technology before understanding the solution process properly. So these two are separate statements. I hope it is clear. Okay, now moving on to the next point, communicate, cooperate, and collaborate. So here, again, similar to a lot of mid-senior level and senior level jobs that you see in the market, not just in IT, even in non-IT industry also, the focus is more on your people skills than any functional or technical or any other such skills. Okay, because by this time you would be in such a level wherein you are getting a lot of things done with the help of other people rather than you being an individual contributor. Okay, so that makes it very important for you to be able to have a good rapport with everyone around you. So that's the reason these three C's come into picture. You should be able to communicate with everyone very well. You need to maintain that cordial relationship. You need to cooperate. Like sometimes they may have to go out of their way to give you the information that you need. Some of the times you may have to do the same thing to return the favor. Okay. So cooperating with them and helping them when they need it, and collaborating it. When there is a particular task that is being worked upon, working together as a team, and playing that complementary roles and getting the things done. That is very important. So be a people's person. Have that good vibe with everyone around in your team. Or be it at a level where people are of at your same league, or those who are above you and those who are below you in terms of hierarchy. No matter how much we say it's a flat hierarchy, there is still hierarchy at work. So you need to ensure that you maintain a cordial relationship with those working above, below, and at your level, your peers. So that becomes very important because you're not like someone who is working in silos. You're not a DBA, or you're not a specific person who is, working on a core development activity wherein, a task is assigned, completed, that's it, my work is over. It's not that way. Your work depends a lot on getting inputs from other people. Okay. The next point is, as a business analyst, you own the solution requirements. What do I mean by this? There is something called as owner mindset. What it implies is, if you have this owner mindset, you own the problem, or you own that particular piece of work and ensure that it is very good. To give you an example, okay, say that there is an individual who is staying as a tenant, who is staying in a rented apartment, and there's another person who is staying in his or her own home. Okay. Now, in both these cases, let's say there is a leaking tap in the kitchen. Okay. In both the scenarios, in that person's house where he's staying as a tenant, and in another person's house where he's owning the flat. Obviously, the latter person, the one who is owning it, will take it as his own responsibility and try to get that fixed as soon as possible. Whereas one who is staying as a tenant might not really be focusing on it. Or even if required, he'll just quickly use some stopgap solution which will not work in the long term. Just for a few days, it closes this issue, and then the issue might open up again. But still, okay. For now, I just want a quick fix, so let me close it in that way. That will be the approach here. Why is it so? Because the one who is staying as a tenant, for him, it's like a rented apartment. I don't have to really own it up. If this issue is there, tomorrow I leave, someone else will face the problem. I don't care. Whereas the one who is owning it, that portion, he thinks that this is my accommodation, this is something which I own, so I have to ensure that everything works well. Okay, so that is the difference between owner mindset and a non-owner mindset. So when we say as a business analyst, you need to own the solution requirements, what we mean to say is when you think these solution requirements is something which I am personally accountable for, then you will ensure that it is as clear as possible and as useful as possible for the end user. You don't just, wing it out. You just don't just do it just for the heck of it, but you put your efforts into making sure it is really as good as possible. That becomes very important because these requirements serve as a basis for the entire project. What is getting developed, what is getting tested, what is getting executed, what is getting launched, and what is going to be used by the end customer. That and all depends on your requirements. So take that ownership and work according to it. So what happens is when you want it, even if you don't know something, you don't mind to ask multiple times if required and get the information sorted out and then document it. And that really helps in the entire project. Okay. The next point is gain acceptance as well as approval. This is one of the hacks that you should really be using very effectively at work. So what's the difference between acceptance and approval? Let's take an example. Now let's say that there has been a requirement which has been mentioned that we should use uh, we should allow search based only on the restaurant name and the food item name. Okay, this is one of the initial requirements you got from the stakeholders. Let's say after a couple of days, you went back to that one stakeholder who is more like a decision maker, and you asked this person, "Hey, you know what? I thought about this search process, and I thought we should also allow customers to uh, sort along with searching." Means I search saying that I want this particular food item in this locality, and then in the search results, I want to sort it based on popularity, or I want to sort it based on the user ratings. Do you think it really helps? Do you think there's a very good enhancement to the requirement? And this particular stakeholder says, "Wow, Ranjit, good point. Definitely, let's add it." Okay. Now this person has mentioned it to you. You felt happy that okay, my suggestion has been taken up, and then you go ahead to the developer and you ask them to develop, and then the testing happens, and it is used as one of the features. Now, what if few days down the line, one of the other stakeholder comes to you and says, "Hey, Ranjit, when did we discuss this? We didn't discuss about sorting based on popularity or custom rating, customer use or user ratings. We didn't discuss that, right? Then why is it that I can see it in the demo that you have given?" Now, here what has happened is this other stakeholder is not aware of what was discussed with the initial stakeholder. Okay, and that's the reason there's a sort of a confusion, there's a communication gap, and all those things coming up. So, what has happened here is you have got the acceptance from one stakeholder and you have gone ahead with it and you got it implemented, which did not actually go through the approval process. Later, this can keep you in big trouble also because sometimes what you have implemented could be totally not required or against what one of the stakeholder requires. So to be on a safer side, what you need to do is whenever you have any enhancement, any change in a requirement coming up, you need to make sure that that particular change or enhancement is communicated to the entire stakeholder group and everyone is aligned on that particular change, and only then you take it ahead to the uh, implementation process. Okay, so get that approval. It could be on email, it could be like a sign off on a document, whatever really keeps you on a safer side at a later point of time when you have to claim that yes, this has been thoroughly discussed and only then we are implementing it. Do it. Okay, don't just depend on oral acceptance from one or two stakeholders, which may not really help you at a later point of time. The next point is making the business community ready for the product. So what it means is when you are developing any particular product or a service or doing any enhancement, You do it keeping the end user in your mind, right? Thinking that, okay, this specific set of customers are going to use this feature. So I want to develop this for them. So when you're doing it, when you know what is that, target customer group going to be, you need to make sure that your product is really something which that end group will feel interested to use. If due to any reason that end user group is not interested in using your product, then it's going to be total failure. You may come up with the best product possible, but if the users are not willing to even try it out, then there's no point, right? To give you an example, let's say that the leave management system right now in a particular company is all happening manually. Like employees fill the form manually, put it at the manager's table, manager signs it, and then you show it to the HR and get the leaves approved. Let's say this is the process. Now the company has come to you saying that we want a software to be created, which is more like a portal which employees can log in and apply for leaves and get the approval. They can view the leave balance, the type of leaves that they have, and how many can be carried forward at the end of the year. All those things should be available on this portal. You work like anything, you get this sorted out, you develop this solution. But what if the employees of that company, maybe because they're blue collar employees who are not adept at using, software applications, or maybe any reason, what if those employees are not even using your leave management system? Even after 6 months or 1 year down the line of having launched your leave application system, they are still using the physical forms, filling the details manually, and putting at the manager's desk. It could be due to any reason. What is happening is your solution is not something which the business community is using. So that should not happen. So for that reason, when you're developing a product, get that information from your stakeholders. Like, okay, who are the target users? And have you identified them? And are you sure that they are going to use it? And if required, maybe some sort of research would have already been done. Get that important information. That will help you to know the pain points of the end users also, and try to fix that during your development or requirement gathering process itself. Final thing is, measure twice, cut once. This is more of a proverb, but what it means to say is, do not be in a sorry state at a later point of time by uh, getting something implemented without having the due approval received for it, which again goes back to your point of gain acceptance as well as approval. So sometimes what happens is, a list of requirements have been captured and you're documenting it. When you're documenting it, you're a little bit dicey about one requirement. You're not clear with it. Okay. But at the same time, you don't want to miss out that requirement. So what you do, you write it down and you mention it the way you have understood. And then, in spite of not having clarified it with the stakeholder, you proceed ahead, get it developed, get it tested, and get it validated, and then you take it back to the stakeholder. Then they may say, no, no, this point seems to have been misunderstood. This is not how we wanted it. This is quite different. We need you to change it. That making a change after having, developed and tested is going to be a more of a effort intensive activity. Instead, what you can do is, when you are a little ambiguous about a requirement, get that ambiguity, sorted out in at that point of time itself, and then document it only after having clearly understood. Do not document something which you're not clearly understanding enough. Okay, so that's the point. So these are the 11 points which I wanted to mention as principles to follow. Hope things are understood. And in fact, as I said, these are a little bit intuitive also. When you start using, you'll realize that yes, this is something which will really add value to the way you work, and gives you the required effectiveness at work. So make a note of these points. This is not from some interview perspective and all. This is more from your work perspective. When you land up in a job as an ITBA, these are the points that will help you on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so we'll stop here for now. We'll proceed to the next video, next segment in the next video. Thanks, everyone.